right, welcome to the latest edition of Real Talk, where we put the real in real estate. And I got two real deals with me tonight. I got Chauncey Pham. What's up, girl?
What's up? What's up?
And we got Kyler Draper, the OG video man. Yes. Come on. All right. And we're excited, guys, right? I mean, there's just a few things going on in the real estate world at the moment. You know, it's just a few things. It's a time to pivot. Are we taking a picture? Come on now.
So
okay, you did it. So that's what everybody needs. You got. It's all good, right,
Ashley?
Oh, it's awful. And Rick Davis with Studio USA, he always gets the right face at the right time. Like I'm putting a sandwich in my face, everything else. But that is real life, and we're talking about social media and content creation and all of those things. So we're going to have fun tonight, and that's what we're talking about. So, okay, I have to give a shout out to my baby who, why does she call me face red droopy eyes? Cool. My child is watching from YouTube right now, and she said, "Hello, mama, face red droopy eyes." So, she already creates more content than I do, and she's not even 11, and I love it. So, well, guys, thank you both for joining us. We've got an hour to talk about or scratch the surface. And I know you guys are doing so many amazing things in the content creation world. You both are truly your authentic selves in everything that you do. And that's what you bring amazingly to the table when you're talking about different types of content creation strategies, social media. Chauncey, you're no stranger to the screen. You are one of our amazing success stories from the TRLP leadership program at Metrotex and a fellow heavyweight 28 graduate, right?
Yeah, heavyweight 28, best class ever.
And then best class ever. Kyle has not been a part of that, so we can't call him an OG alumni like the rest of us. But
I would love to be one day.
Okay, well, we can try to make that happen. Of course, we got Mark Koretsky. He's tuning in and said, "Look who this cat dragged in." I got two cats, and I didn't even have to put them in a bag and drag them. So no, but we're super excited, and really, honestly, guys, I mean, I think the biggest thing that we've got going on is everybody is so stuck right now on these settlement changes and everything else. And it was hard enough that we were having some market softening and interest rates and insurance and all of these other levers going on. We've also got a national election happening here in several weeks. So, all of those things, though, are a distraction, are they not?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a major distraction because ultimately we have the power to sit there and create the world that we want to do and attract the clients and attract the business that we're looking for. And that's why we have both of you on this evening. Kyle, you are all things video, and that is something that you've been preaching for years and years, and that hasn't changed because video is not outdated and it's not going anywhere. Maybe the channels are changing. Maybe the types of video formats might change, but ultimately getting in front of your sphere and your audience isn't going to change. So let's talk about that for just a second. Video. Talking about snakes in the backstage before we went live, and I think what number one fear is public speaking, then it's death, and then it's snakes. And so we were talking about the number 3, but now we're going to talk about the number 1, and that's public speaking, which that's what people like in being on video is public speaking. So how are you going to get some of these people out of their shell with a couple of practical tips or anything else? Or tell them, I guess, first, why is it so important?
Yeah, I think we have to stop for a second and kind of dissect where we're at. I think most people now, they're lumping video in with social media. So, So for somebody to be able to say well, I'm just not a big social media person, or I've never really got business from social media. They're also saying, so I don't really do video. And what I'm seeing in my world is video has kind of started as social media, and now it really should be the only way that we communicate with people. And so where most of my new business opportunities come from, they're not my social media, even though I'm there every day. It's when I DM a video to somebody and I stay top of mind. I check in on them, or I introduce myself cold turkey, and I'm like, what's up, man? I'm Kyle. And they get to see the hat that I'm wearing, the shirt that I have on, right? The environment that I'm in. And to me, like, that should be doing more for swinging the pendulum in somebody's business than the person that's like, well, I'm still trying to go viral and I'm still trying to get to 10,000 followers. Like, who gives a freaking crap? Like, that's not relevant anymore. And so I just believe that, like, every realtor that is on here or that will watch this replay, they already know more people than they're currently experiencing success. And so instead of chasing new people on social media, they should be using the power of video to be top of mind to all the people they already know.
I 100%.
No. Yeah, that's amazing. So kind of going off of that, Chauncey, you, again, I was saying you were no stranger to the screen. You were on A&E's Zombie House Flippers, and, you know, you're on TikTok and you're doing all those things, which, I mean, that's obviously social, but the way you utilize yours, you are speaking to your, you know, desired audience. And I think that's what's so neat. So how do you approach video in your format to leverage that appropriately for your business needs?
So kind of like what Kyle just said, I would say that I leverage video, and social media is simply a strategy or a tool in which I leverage video. But video is the ultimate foundation of everything that I do. So even you know, the way that I communicate via text, or if it's someone's birthday that I know, if I want to communicate an emotion to my husband that I can't you know, properly do with just words, I send a freaking video of my face going, you know, and it has become the way that I communicate and the way that I'm known, instead of this is something that I have to do on social media and I'm terrified of it and it's so cringy. It has just become a medium of communication. And I think that if more realtors started to champion video from that perspective, in a sense that this is just a way that I can now communicate. Oh, and by the way, I don't have to keep repeating myself, because you can just hit play and it can be played over and over and over again. Then they can start to see more value in leveraging video, utilizing social media.
Now, would you guys say, because I like to, you know, bring things back to, you know, different types of things that helped me, and TRLP was something that I think was a huge help to me in different ways. I'm not going to talk about how the fact that we're both scared of heights, Chauncey, and we were going to do the ropes course together, and we both went up the ladder and we said, we're going to do it together. And I turned around and you ran down the stairs and went away, and you left me on the ledge and I had to do it together. So I'm not going to talk about that portion of the leadership program where you bailed on me. But what I am going to talk about is the exercise, if you remember, and I think it was one of our first days as a group together, or after the ropes course where you bailed on me. And we got to know each other in a vulnerable way, and everybody had to write something positive about you on your note card. Do you remember that?
I do remember
the little note card.
I do remember
Not
the
well.
exercise. I do.
Okay. So for me, it was important because at that point I was at a transition point in my life where I didn't know who I was. I knew I was a wife. I knew I was a new mom. I knew I was a realtor. I knew I was a business owner. I had no freaking clue who I was as Ashley Gentry, the human being. And so, you know, it was trying to figure out what that looked like. And so you have this negative self-talk that has been programmed over all of our experiences, whether it's how we were raised, what we went through in school, you know, whatever else. And that continues to permeate. And I think that really stops people from wanting to present themselves in their true format, because they have all this negative self-talk that's going on. And for me, it was, Ashley, you're too loud, you're too aggressive, you're too domineering, nobody's ever going to like you, guys are scared of you. Those are things I was told my entire life. And I was very intimidating. My husband said if he wanted a mousy woman, he would have married one. So shout out to Reese Gentry. Love you, babe. But for me, it was amazing seeing that card of like 25 people that had never known me before. And everybody was saying, your energy is contagious. Your smile makes me want to smile. when there's a challenge, you're the first one I look at. You're rolling up your sleeves and you're ready to help everyone. Like everything was so positive, and it was the same stuff that I was thinking about, but they saw it as a positive and I saw it as a negative. And for me, that was like, let's abandon everything at that point, and I'm ready to put my true, authentic self out there. But something had to break, that negative self-talk. And so for both of you guys, what do you tell people when they're terrified? And it's not because of necessarily how they look or how they sound. It's because they don't think they're valuable enough sometimes to speak to people in that format. So maybe what are some things that you can speak to our audience right now to kind of help them get out of that own fear, that own, stickiness?
Chauncey, you
Kyle?
go first.
No, you go, Kyle.
I'm going first.
Yeah.
Go first.
Actually, I think the most important part of this whole thing is understanding that we're all the same. Like when I was a pastor, my students that were the most insecure were also the prettiest. We're also the quarterback of the football team. And I guess in society, like we've always painted this picture of like, wow, Chauncey made it to TV. Her confidence has to be through the roof. And but like all she's done is allowed more people to have the opinions about her life that cause her to probably even be crazier in her own head than she was before. But we just
Is that possible?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might not be. We'd have to ask her husband. But and so I think we have to first realize like we're all the same. We all struggle with identity. We all struggle with, do people like me? Do people actually think I'm funny when I try to tell a joke? Like, do people want something from me? And that's the reason that they're nice. And so we all need each other, right? Like you don't have to have a degree to speak to a certain subject matter, And so I think that's a really big piece to this. I think a close second is we have to stop showing up with an agenda that only values and benefits us. Mm-hmm. Because when I wake up and I go, shoot, I need more business. My pipeline is dry. What can I post today to find a new buyer? Whatever I end up posting is going to suck because it's not coming from contribution. It's not coming from value. It's coming from a selfish desire. And so I think that's where a lot of people end up stuck with content is their subconscious goal. If it's not their conscious goal. And so when I wake up and go, you know what are the people that I want to connect with? What are they struggling with today? What questions might they have about the process? And then that's how I create content. It always goes well because I'm coming from a place of giving rather than trying to hold my hands out and take. And so that's what I think it boils down to.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree.
And
that's why Chauncey made me go first. She just wanted to agree with me.
Yeah, you know what? Here's better because we're all in those Facebook groups, aren't we? Like those national Facebook groups and everything else. I mean, I consume them only because I need to know what's going on. I don't contribute back into the feed with some of the keyboard warriors. But how many times do you see, I need to figure out how to generate more leads. I need to figure out how can I find another buyer or another seller. And Kyle, I think you hit the nail on the head because we need to do more storytelling. We need to do more, authenticity with sharing our message so people can understand because, we think we're scared. Gosh, this real estate climate right now is a very interesting, scary real estate climate for the consumer. So we're all up in our own business thinking we're so special right now with these national settlement changes and all of these other things. What does that do for the consumer? The person that we're supposed to serve right now, we're so up in our own, high on our own supply that we're not speaking out to the public and saying, I know this is a scary time. I know that you're probably over leveraged. I know that a lot of my clients are up to their nose in credit card debt and everything else and trying to figure out, they thought they could refinance at this point. And now what are their options? I think it's talking, authentically to your people. And Chauncey, you've done such a good job of that. And that is what, when I saw you on stage several weeks ago, and that was kind of your premise of, when you started your career, what you basically said was, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the Chauncey way. And that's the only way I'm going to do it. So let's talk about that, because that's why I love you, girl. I mean, you are absolutely amazing. You're sitting there in your, what you call it? Your woman cave with your plants
Yes.
and
I'm in
your
my girl
pink.
cave.
You're in your girl cave and everything else because that's what you love. You just went to PlantCon. You're raw. You're relatable. Like, I don't know what content you're going to pump out tomorrow, but it's you and it's so engaging. So when you started your real estate career, what did that look like? And how did you say, all right, I'm just going to abandon everything else that I know and I'm just going to be me. And that's how I'm going to start this business.
So quick little story, which I told this on your podcast. I got licensed at the end of August, or I passed my test at the end of August. My license went active in October, and by the end of December, I had sold, I don't know, like $3 million worth of real estate. And so that was like really fast. So I was averaging like $1 million a month my first like 3 months in the business. And I worked with a brokerage that did not have an office, so I was not around other realtors, and so everything that I knew about real estate kind of just came from my own brain. I didn't have any preconceived notions, and I wasn't around other realtors.
Yeah.
So I go to a Christmas party, and I'm sitting next to my mentor at the Christmas party, and they're giving away awards for $2 million producers, and I lean over to her and I say, "Hey, Genevieve, are these people doing $2 million a month?" And she said, "No, honey, that's $2 million a year." And in my brain, realtors didn't even get into real estate unless you sold at least $10 million worth of real estate a year. I Because I didn't know. I didn't know anything about it
Sure.
because there were no preconceived notions about it. And so in that moment, I decided that I was going to stay in that place, of not taking on what other people told me my experience should be in real estate.
Amen.
Because if I was living on this delusional island where I thought that everyone sold what I now know is a pretty high amount of production, and that was the only way you ever got into the business, then I knew that I could basically do anything because I was setting the standards for myself instead of letting other people do so. And so in that moment, I decided everything I do, I'm going to do opposite from everyone else. Whatever they tell me to do, I'm not going to
Love
do
it.
that because they're doing 2 million a year and I'm doing 1 million a month and I'm 3 months in this bad boy. And so from that point on, I really started forging my own way, and sitting at home. During that time, I focused a lot on, like chicks do, sitting in the bed at night, looking at makeup videos on YouTube. I said, why are there no realtors doing stuff like this? Why are there no realtors sitting straight on the camera and talking and letting, people into their lives and just telling stories of what's happening? And I searched high and low and couldn't find anyone. And in that moment, I decided that's how I'm going to show up. And this is the medium
Awesome.
in which I'm going to show up. And it worked.
So what are some things? So you've been now in so you've been a licensed realtor or agent
Mhm.
for how many years? 6 years,
Since
7 years?
August of 2016. So 8 years.
8 years now.
Mhm.
Okay. And you did that right out of the gate. And that 8 years, I met you in 2018.
Mhm.
And since then, I have watched so much growth and evolution from you being an independent broker to you taking your brokerage and going into EXP, going into, oh my God, how many people do you have in your ecosystem in EXP?
Almost 400, and I have stayed at that number. Got all of those like within a year.
That's amazing. And then you became, you and your husband abandoning other things and going into flipping and getting your TV show. But here's the other thing that people don't see, and is that it's not all glamorous, right? I mean, just because it looks like you're nailing life and everything else. Oh, look, you've got a EXP fam. We got Haley McCrory. Sorry, Haley, I just butchered it. That's what we're going to do. Um, anyways, but Chauncey, I think that's the biggest thing is if somebody's watching your journey, they're going, I can never be like Chauncey. Like she's nailing it. She doesn't make mistakes or anything else. And I think that's where that you guys talking about the authentic journey of how you've gotten here. I mean, everybody's fallible, right? I mean, like I make mistakes every single freaking day. And I was just talking, I know Remax is great too. All the brokerages are great. No, right? Absolutely. But I was talking with Nick Bristow today. He used to be in United. He just moved to LPT, and he's doing that, and used to be one of our brokers in our ecosystem. And so I was just talking to him, and it was like, he started sharing his story with me, which I won't share for the public because that's for him to share. But he basically said, everybody looks at me now, but nobody knows the 14 years that I had challenges and I was lost and doing those different things. And it was the same thing. And I shared part of my testimony with them. Like, people are looking at me now and they're like, oh gosh, she's sitting high on a perch. But, only like 7 years ago, I was trying to sell things that weren't nailed down to the floor, just trying to make ends meet. And I said, you know what, that's not the life I want to have for myself. And I think that's the type of content that people are craving and are missing right now, and understanding. As much as Chauncey and Kyle, both of you look like you're killing life and you're doing so many things, like being an entrepreneur and a business owner, which is what realtors are, it's like freaking eating dirt every daggum day. Right? I mean, even though I said I would eat dirt just if I could be skinny and everything else, I don't naturally want to eat dirt. And so I think that's important. And Kyle, like, what do you coach people to do when they think they don't have a story, and they don't think they have a contribution? I mean, how many people do you hear that from on a daily basis when you're trying to, encourage them to just put themselves? Everyone.
It's everybody. Well, and let me tell a story about Chauncey. I believe, Chauncey, years and years ago, our first video that we did together, we were both in our cars. We'd both pulled over and we're sitting in parking lots. And that's how we did our first video together. And so what I love about watching Chauncey's journey is the only way you can be ready for a TV show is to start doing it really crappy. And there's just so many people that to this day are still unwilling to do a video from the front seat of their car. Like, it's got to be perfect. I've got to be in the right environment. I've got to have the right clothes on. It's got to be on a good hair day. And so we just wait for these perfect moments to show up, and that's when I'm going to do it. Well, then we know that there's no such thing as a perfect moment ever, especially once you get married, have kids, running a business. And so that's the struggle that I think a lot of people have, is it has to be a certain way before they're willing to start. And everyone I know that is successful, their story starts with, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just started trying to do it.
Yep.
Like, that's everybody's story. And
I still don't know what I'm doing.
And I think that's the secret, right? Is that even the good ones will still say, man, I've learned how to fake it. And I just hope that nobody calls my bluff. Like, I don't. And so like, that has to be it. And so here is the tip from me. Chauncey can speak to her side. For me, it is what I call my superpower, that I love helping people more than I care about looking stupid. And like, that's it. Until people can truly say, I will put myself in harm's way to try and help someone else. Until you get there, I don't think most people will ever get there, because as long as it's about me, there's too many things that have to align for me to feel good about myself, if that's the only way I'm going to show up in front of the camera.
And I think the biggest thing is like imposter syndrome. That's something that a lot of people talk about. It's kind of buzzwords. And that's it, because you sit there and you think you're posing, right? You think you're trying to be something that you're not, the whole fake it till you make it. Well, there's something to be said about that, guys, right? Like, there's something to be said. You don't know everything. That's not a bad thing to say you haven't completely perfected your craft. If you are first going into it with a service mind, and that you're going to guide the consumer to the best of your ability and to your clients and everything else, and that's the heart that you go into it with, there's plenty of people that you can consult. There's mentors. There's ChatGPT, for as far as I'm concerned, to get answers. I mean, crap, we all grew up without Google. Like, now there's all the information is at our fingertips. What people are craving is true authenticity. And they want to see behind the curtain. They want to know that you care, and they want to know that you're honest and truthful. They don't need perfection. And that's something that I've realized over time. I had a listing appointment this week where, we just sold them the house a couple of years ago, and unfortunately circumstances changed. And I sat in their kitchen just a couple hours ago, and I said, "Look, I'm sorry where we're at, but I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm always going to tell you the truth." And he said, "Ashley, that's why you're here, because above everything else, you're going to be honest with me, and that's why we want you to be here with us and walk through this journey." And that's what people want. They just want honesty. They want truthfulness. And sometimes it always doesn't look pretty. We have Daphne over here. She said, "That's where I'm at. I have no clue, but I'm trying." I mean, it's like,
come on.
Trying is right. That's like 90% of the way is just trying. Suit up and show up and see what you can do. And I think that's what's amazing about both of you guys is that I know, I've been, in different lanes knowing you guys at the start of what you're trying to do in your careers. And what I do know is you both want to help, you both want to serve, and look at where you are now and the several years that I've known both of you. That doesn't mean you've hit a pinnacle. It just means that you've hit progress, right? I mean, you just one foot in front of another.
We're very big deals, so we're living the good life, obviously.
We're all living the good life. But
Chauncey bought 18 plants last week, so she is freaking rich. If you know
we were talking about plant. I didn't know how much plants cost. She went to PlantCon, y'all, and she bought all these plants. And I saw Erica Alvarez, who we both know, Chauncey. Yes. She actually worked PlantCon. She was like, "I love plants. Plants are her passion." But I saw all the prices of the plants. I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's a lot." But that's something that you became passionate about, right? During COVID and everything else. So how many plants do you have now?
Over 100. I actually hit 101 this past weekend. So yes.
So we're counting plants. I love that. Kyle, how many plants do you have in your house?
We have over 100 as well, but not because of me. That is my wife's thing. They all have names. It's
I've got
bonkers.
Humidifiers going in my house. My husband hates life right now. So
yeah, but you know what? What is that? Chauncey, you have created content around your love of plants. Kyle, you just created an amazing connection with the people that probably don't love plants, but are now having to love plants because a family member loves plants, right?
Yeah. I do actually I do like them, they're pretty, and we're probably breathing better oxygen than you jokers that don't have any in your house,
Sure.
So, it's a good thing, but yeah, Chauncey, go.
Well, no, what I find interesting, and I know we've gone on this tangent about plants, right? But for those of you that are listening that are realtors, understand this, and this is kind of the perspective that I came from when I first got into the business. I am Chauncey Pham. I am a person that does real estate. The way that I show up online is going to be that. It is not going to be a real estate agent named Chauncey Pham. No, I'm Chauncey first. And there are all of these different pieces of me that I want to share with the audience that have absolutely nothing to do with real estate. And that is what set me apart from everyone else. For instance, rotisserie chickens. Anyone that follows me on social media knows I have this weird thing with rotisserie chickens. If I go in the grocery store, I cannot walk by that hot oven part with rotisserie chickens. I smell it. I got to grab one, right? Because every time I go in the grocery store, I capture myself grabbing a rotisserie chicken. People, when I got sick, I got COVID, I've had the flu, and I posted up, people send me cowboy chicken to my house. They send me chickens. If they're in the grocery store and they see the rotisserie chicken section, then they're going to record that and they tag me in a video. So I've created a community around myself that understands that, hey, Chauncey's really darn good at what she does in real estate, but she also does all of this other stuff, and it's hilarious and it's so relatable. So when I need real estate services, or if I'm a realtor and I need someone to reach out to, I'm probably going to call her because I feel like she is attainable. I feel like she is approachable, and I feel like she is relatable. And I think that that's the biggest thing that real estate agents have screwed up with, is they're showing up online as only real estate when they're this whole other person, and no one ever gets to know that side of it.
No, and that's amazing. And one of our avid watchers, Shanae Ragsdale, she said, "Wow, I have zero," but she was meaning plants. "I'm just trying to keep my 4 sons alive." And that's what we love about Shanae. She goes everywhere. She's WCR leadership. We love her to death. I'm like, when she comes into a room, she's going to make you laugh. And that's what I know about Shanae, and that's something that she's done for herself, and it makes it completely relatable. And if I see her at a conference, in an event, in a room or anything, she's always got me laughing. And I think that's absolutely, and as Shanae and Jennifer are talking right now, we are being our authentic and authentic selves, right? And that's huge. That's what we want to do. And I think that's absolutely amazing. And with everything that we're doing nowadays, everything is hard. And if real estate, transacting real estate now is going to take longer, and it's going to be a more tenuous relationship, don't you think you want to be in the trenches with somebody that you like, know, and trust, and that you can approach and you can be vulnerable with? And I think that's what's so, as much as this stinks, a little bit of a softer market, what it is it's showing that the cream is rising to the top. Those professionals that are going to lean in with the storytelling and being able to create those relationships. Those are the people that are going to win out in this marketplace. And so while we're all distracted that the sales aren't happening as fast as they are, this is the time where everybody can focus and drill down and really start to speak to their audience. So we've got a half an hour left. Let's get into some tactical advice. Even though we've talked about fear of heights, bailing on me, Chauncey, plants, rotisserie chicken. Kyle, we got real life happening in the background. We got real life happening in the background. Do you want one on camera?
Get out of here, dude. You want a spanking?
See, it's real.
It's relatable. It's real. I mean, my child just came on here.
I wish I could see my 9-year-old when I was like, "You want a spanking?" And she's like, "Okay, yeah, you're gonna do something."
My child commented on here and said, "Hey, Mama, I love you. Red face, droopy eyes." I mean, we've done well, Kyle, haven't we?
Your daughter obviously respects you far more than mine respects
Good
me.
job.
So
that's okay. But that's the whole thing. We're also parents. We're also spouses. We're business owners. We're people. We're individuals. And I think that's what we lose sight in, especially everybody thinks that a realtor. I remember I got licensed when I was 19. My mom was a realtor, and I looked at her, and she had these suits and a scarf and pearls and everything else. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. How funny is that? I wore a suit and a scarf, and I had heels, and I look so demure, right? What is that? Demure. And what's the trend? So demure and everything else, because I thought I needed to create this avatar of what a real estate agent was 20 years ago. And instead now I'm turning around and it's something completely different. And ultimately there might not be people that desire to work with me because I'm not as relatable to them. But you know what? The ones that do, and I can lean in and I can serve, I can reach at a greater capacity. And I think we approach social media content, video content, content creation, connection with, instead of trying to just be authentic and relatable, we try to create content for the masses. And I think that's where we lose. And both of you guys are so great at that. Yeah. All right, Michelle, if your kids don't know real estate lingo, you're doing it wrong. I know, Michelle's also great. So here's what I'm going to plug really quickly is that both of you guys are doing 2 great conferences and 2 great events where we can hear probably some more curated content and not just being funny and off the cuff at the time, at the moment. But Kyle, you're doing a conference at Metrotex with Movement and McKnight, and it's the playbook for 2025, which I think is absolutely amazing. And you are going to be, the MC, the creator of all things. You are embarking so much of your wisdom on that group, and that's the Ultimate Realtor Playbook. We just put the link in the comments here. So yes, we are hilarious tonight. But if you actually want to see what Kyle has to bring to the table, please register for the event, right? Kyle, it's going to be fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be incredible. Yeah, we've got an unbelievable day planned. You're speaking at the event as well. And so
Correct.
I'm excited for us to share the stage, but it's, everybody needs to be encouraged, right?
Yes.
And so often, especially when the market's not where we want it to be, we live in this world of negativity and we're pessimistic about everything. And so every realtor needs that pick me up, that opportunity to feel re-energized, motivated, encouraged. And so that's what we're going to do at the Ultimate Realtor Playbook. And my new book that comes out in like 2 days is going to be given to everybody. And it's for realtors. And so let's also just say that there's probably nothing else going on that day that's going to be better than that. Like it's on a regular day of the week. There's no football games. There's, the
September
Olympics are over.
25th. Yes.
So
rethink everything. It's rethink everything you know about selling real estate, right?
And it's actually not by me. My company's just publishing it. So since I've never been a realtor, you probably wouldn't buy a book that I wrote about real estate. So the guy that wrote it, 40 years in the industry, brilliant mind. And so I'm just honored to get to publish it as a part of the Rethink Everything brand. And so, yeah, show up, guys. It's going to be a really, really fun day.
So you can click on the link, and that is September 25th. It's going to be an amazing day. It's kind of football themed because we're into it. So you can be super casual, wear your sports team jerseys. We're going to tailgate. We're going to do a lot of stuff. So it's super fun. And I think that's right, because we're just scratching the surface tonight. Right now, we're having fun. We're just trying to get people, we're trying to get that light bulb to it's a little dim right now. We're trying to get it to go off and get people excited to take that next step. And Chauncey, you're doing cool things. Yeah, I know, right? That was very aggressive. I felt like when I just came at you just now. But you too. I mean, we're really scratching the surface on a lot of stuff, but you are also headlining an event at Metrotex. And part of it is it's not Metrotex has the corner and all the cool kids and everything else. But what we want to do is bring amazing events because we have this beautiful building. And if we're not creating an ecosystem where people can learn and go back down to the well and then drink from that, then we're failing. And that's how we feel at the Realtor organization side as well. But you are going to be talking to a bunch of women. This is actually a women's conference.
Yeah.
Kyle was a little sad that he was not involved in all of that. But it's called Women Who Win, right? And that's what we want to do. And that's going to be 2 days after the conference that Kyle's doing. So it is on a Friday. So we are on a bookend. There's a little bit more things going on. But maybe scratch the surface a little bit. Tell people what they can maybe expect from you in a deeper sense to learn from that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate going to all of these conferences and it's a bunch of rah-rah. And so I'll be coming from a place of really more tactical instruction on things that you can start implementing into your business right away that can start to, make a difference, make a change in yourself, make a change in how your audience perceives you. And just really step by step, a lot of the strategies that I implemented to build out the businesses that I have leveraging video and social media. So we'll be talking about that. So, we can help you become a woman that wins.
Let's do it. Let's win both days, Wednesday and Friday.
I have one suggestion. Maybe you call it Women Who Win and the Men Who Support them. And then I can come.
And then
you
Kyle
can come. You know what? Kyle, you're an honorary winning woman. Okay. So
I don't know how to receive that, if that's good or not.
It's okay. I think it is. So no, we wanted to plug both of these amazing humans that are going to continue to pour into our community. And guys, again, this is supposed to be an approachable, belly up to the bar kind of fireside chat. And that's what we do. And of course, people have said this has been a fun night and you guys are hysterical. But those are the days where we're really going to get much more into the nitty gritty and the meat of things. So you can walk away and feel like you have tactical application that you can put right back into your business. And so I think that's really important. Kyle, the evolution of what you've done, you started as, not just the You weren't just a video guy. You weren't just a pretty face man that wore a good baseball cap and everything else, but you have transformed. You're doing a lot of different things. I mean, now you're publishing a book, your company is, and you've got a VA company as well. Like, what does that look like for you? Because that's a dovetail. And I think I'm going to stop real quick before you start the other stinking thinking that we get. If we go down one path, we have to stay down this real linear line. And instead, when something else happens, it's cool to go like this, and branch out into something else. And so now you're doing VA stuff as well. And so I'd love, to hear you talk about that, because that's super exciting.
I think Chauncey and I are both great examples of, if you just don't stop and you always look for places to contribute something that's not there, you're going to win.
Yep.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's impossible. Now, you can't predict what you're going to win, because I've had several failed businesses that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'd love for people to not know about those things. But if it wasn't for those things, I don't know that I would have learned the lessons that have allowed me to be where I am. And then I need all the things that I'm doing now because I don't know where I'm going. And so, what happened for us is, like, I kept speaking and speaking and speaking, and I kept hearing people say, man, you're different. You're different. Like, I've never heard anybody talk about social media the way you do. And so I thought, man, if I'm actually different, why not write a book? And so I wrote a book while I was on vacation, and it's probably not even that good, but you can't write the good one until you write the sucky one, right? Like, we're going to watch Chauncey on TV 20 years from now, and she's going to be incredible. And she's going to look back at Zombie and go, ugh, wasn't great. Not
already
great.
do.
Right? But without that, she doesn't get this. And so 4.5 years ago, I, in the middle of COVID, started a company because I lost all my speaking gigs. And we were making videos for people, editing their content, right? Creating quote graphics and all that fun stuff. And I looked up and was like, this model isn't working. And a friend of mine said, you need a VA. And I was like, what is a VA? I don't even know what that is. And so I learned about virtual assistants. We hired our first virtual assistant 4.5 years ago. And since then, we've hired like 18 more. And we looked up at the end of last year. Bye, Chauncey.
Bye, Chauncey.
And actually, we looked up at the end of last year, and my team was like, we've done a really good job, like, raising up really good virtual assistants. Why are we not helping other people do it?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I agree with you, but what do we do? And so again, we didn't know what to do. We just were like, let's do it. So we started, and Chauncey has had really bad, like, VAs in the past, so she's very fearful of this conversation. And so we just had this need that we saw, which was people need help, but they don't know what to do. They don't think they can afford it. And we stepped into this space, and it's so much fun helping people on the other side of the globe that don't get the opportunities we get living in America, but also pairing up American companies with the right VA, because I know that I have a front row seat to watching Chauncey Pham change the world. And the only way she can continue to do so is if she doesn't allow distraction to get in her way and cause her to do all the busy work. And so she needs people that are going to be able to help her life, help her business. And I love being the solution for that. And so it's a lot of fun. And we just made it like kind of the marquee business in my suite of companies. And we're gonna see what happens. And maybe it'll work and maybe it won't. But I know that I'm gonna keep trying and find something new if it, and so the bottom line is, like, guys, we have to care enough to be willing to fail at something in order to also be successful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's where we're at, and we're having fun.
Love it.
I know. I think that's amazing. So what is that? What is that company, Kyle? If people want to learn more about your virtual assistant company,
it is called Hire Culture VA, HIRE. And so you can go to hirecultureva.com. We're building a new website, but the crappy one that I built in Canva is currently there. And it's a play on words, right? We want to help people hire for culture because culture matters, but we also want to call people to a higher culture because culture matters. And so happy to talk to anybody if they want to know more. But I think if I can be blunt, y'all are both more blunt than me, so I'll probably even be nicer than y'all would.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
But I mean, everybody knows y'all are domineering females. Everybody knows that, and that's what I love about both of you being in my life.
Yes.
And so I don't remember what I was saying, but
I don't know. We're wonderful. We're beautiful.
That's what I said.
We're successful. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Y'all are amazing in every way. But I just, knowing what I know now, I think it takes complete ignorance for anyone in sales or in ownership of a business to not have a virtual assistant. Right. Yeah. And that's not a plug for my company. Like there's a million companies out there that do VA work. It's just silly not to do it because of the opportunity it provides.
You know, here's the biggest thing. Just like the consumer and the client from the real estate perspective, they're trying to figure out who the right fit and the right person is because there's a ton of agents out there, right? Yeah. But they got to find the right person that they can be vulnerable with and speak that language. And I can tell you right now, Kyle, like that's a huge pain point in my business is to figure out how I can leverage different things to delegate certain things that I know is not that $500 an hour work that I should be doing. And so I struggle with that on a daily basis. So offline, you and I are going to talk about that and we're going to see whether or not you can make me feel pretty enough to talk about this.
Hey, real quick. Can we just pause and can I thank Jennifer for telling me how amazing and beautiful I am? So Jennifer, you are a sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Yes, Jennifer.
That was meant for me, right?
That was absolutely meant for you, Kyle. I love it. But you know what this has done is it's broken down barriers for me to want to talk and have that conversation about VAs because I feel so exposed to bring somebody else into my business right now. But look, Jennifer said 100%. Look at that. That was about you, pretty Kyle. Yeah, you're great. But that's the thing. I don't want to have these conversations about allowing somebody to come into my business unless I feel comfortable enough to have that conversation, you know? And so I think that's the big part of that. What you just did was make me enough to have the VA conversation. Hey, Ann Jeanette just said, I'm on 35 driving to Austin and y'all are funny, making the trip better. Hey, that's what we're trying to do, Ann Jeanette, which is one of our amazing affiliate partners. She's a lender and she is always a great support, but I think that's amazing that we're making her drive easier.
I think the three of us might need to apply for like a Netflix special.
I can tell you all the deets on how to do TV stuff. I can get the deets.
Okay. That's what we love about Chauncey. She can tell us what not to do at this point. Yes. So we're good. All right. Look at this. We only got 10 minutes left. We could sit here and talk for hours on hours, and it would be very interesting and also psychotic at the same time. But that's what I love about both of you. So what can we do? Chauncey, if somebody's coming to you, an agent that's in your ecosystem and said, I love you. I think I need to be with you, you know, and I want to learn from you. What's something you're going to tell them right off the bat that they need to do to kind of spearhead developing that brand of their business? What's the first little baby step that you would tell a new agent or a seasoned agent just trying to redevelop their brand at this juncture?
It's two main things. It's two very simple things. Who are you and who do you want to service? Like that's it. Who are you and who do you want to service? I think a lot of times we hear with marketing this buzzword of like, oh, I need to build out my client avatar and I need to figure out who I'm marketing to. And that is true. You do.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest hurdle that most realtors face is the fact that they know who they are. And
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
You're buffering.
Reconnect.
Yeah, you're buffering a little bit because you're amazing and you're in your woman cave. So
you obviously need to invest a little bit more money in your Wi-Fi and not your plants. So
it's so good. You know what we're going to do for a second, Chauncey, because you're in a buffer and you're going to come back. And again, guys, this is real life. I think that's what we're showing you right now. I don't know how many times I've had people drop off, Kyle, and I'm just sitting here going, this is what you get.
Here we are.
This is me. Here we are. But what she was going to, and I'm really happy because now I'm going to cross out the word. I love the word avatar, but obviously that was a sticky word. But it really is true. We're always trying to drill down in exactly what we're trying to do instead of just doing it. And so what can you give the audience right now to sit there and say, yeah, you're not going to be perfect. And it's not going to be great, and that's going to be okay. And by the way, I get reminded of my imperfection all the time. I don't know about you on Facebook memories when they show me a post, if it's just got copy or video or a photo, and I'm like, how did I just do that? And that was only a couple of years ago. I'm like, do you feel the same way sometimes when you're looking at something?
It's worse. I feel like it's worse for me because you've been doing real estate for so long. I get reminded of when I was a 20-something-year-old youth pastor that thought he was like God's gift to the world. And I see my content and I'm like, you were such a douche. Like, holy crap. I mean, how blind were you to how annoying you were? Yeah. And so, yes, it's a constant reminder. But what I think, Ashley, we can take away from this moment while we're waiting on Chauncey to get back and give us the real gold. Yeah. I'll give us the faux gold. It's interesting that we can spend a lot of time trying to figure out, like, who do we want to cater to? When the reality is the greatest way for us to connect is by just showing up as ourselves. And so an example of that is you and I have, our daughters are right around the same age. And so correct. If I just show up as a dad with my almost 10-year-old, well, guess what? You and I are relatable, but guess what? Your mom also is going to relate to my content because she is the grandma of a child who is the same age. And then someone in their 20s can look at my daughter and go, oh, my niece is 9 years old. And so instead of trying to go, how do I cater to the 20-year-old? How do I cater to the 60-year-old? How do I cater to the 40-year-old? Just live your life. And you're going to naturally find those little facets that appeal to way more people than you ever thought possible. Instead of going, well, I want to work with sellers in Flower Mound. And it's like, golly, you really just handcuffed yourself. But even in that example, you could become known as the best realtor in Flower Mound if you truly leaned in to that city and didn't allow yourself to go, but what about Plano? But what about Dallas? But what about? And so there's so many ways to win. And so I think I've filled the air long enough to now Chauncey's back. And so we'll let the brilliance continue.
Shut up.
But you know what? Here's what I'm going to say too. Chauncey, you are amazing. You have had crappy Wi-Fi issues and internet tonight. And so, you know what? That's human.
It is.
Everybody might think, oh gosh, everybody's perfect. Chauncey's perfect. Kyle's perfect and everything else. And your internet is failing you at this moment. And you just have to roll with it. And that is life.
My phone died. And then my Wi-Fi went off and I got on the laptop and then the Wi-Fi went out again. So yes. But so I think before I got cut off, I was just saying, simply decide who you are. I think that's a big hurdle that realtors have is they don't know who they are. And because they don't know who they are, they have a very difficult time showing up online authentically and telling any type of story or conveying any type of message because they don't know who the hell they are. And I think that is pivotal in being successful in attracting any type of clientele and building any type of branding. And so, you know, I saw in a comment, someone said, you know, I've been rethinking my value proposition and my branding. You are your value proposition. It's you. What are some things that you've gone through in life? What are some difficult things that you've overcome? How's your confidence level? What have you conquered? What are some things about your family that you can share with others? Like all of those things, that's your value proposition. And that's something that no one else can emulate. That's something that no one else can take and do like you, because you are the only one that has that. And you are going to draw in people that have similar stories, and that's relatable. And so that's exactly what I've done. And I really want to teach people how to harness their vulnerabilities and their powers and who they are to build out their businesses.
And guys, I have to ask, has anything changed in how you're going to approach coaching and training agents to get out of their own way with settlement changes? Has anything changed in your approach? You know, I mean, that was a rhetorical thing, and that failed horribly. See, live on air. Look at that. Rhetorically, you're going to go, no, because the whole point is we got so high on our own supply with all of these changes that ultimately change how we're going to approach transacting real estate. But ultimately, the consumer still needs us to be in the driver's seat to authentically approach that situation. And we got so entrenched on the forms and the process and everything else, which is never anything that the consumer is fully entrenched in to begin with. And I think that's where we've been a little stuck. I mean, the settlement was announced in March. It was nationally, mandated to make sure we comply August 17th. And we've had all of this time to create this really unnerving environment for ourselves. But ultimately, what we need to do to serve the consumer and to speak to the consumer hasn't materially changed. So now that I reframe that, is anything changing what you're speaking to people about and being your true authentic self and trying to coach and train agents to get out of their own way? Has anything changed since August 17th?
No.
Yeah. I don't think anything's changed, but I would say, again, because I'm not a realtor, right? So I have the unique perspective of looking in to the industry that you're overwhelmed by every day. And I'm still saddened and shocked at how much content I'm seeing of realtors bitching about the settlement instead of educating the consumer on what the settlement means, right? Why are realtors not educating the consumer on, guys, you better be more intentional about the way you pick your agent, because now that this, and this is in line, it's going to cause a lot of agents to do less work because they think they're making less money. Like there's so many angles to this that you guys should be educating the consumer to.
Love it.
And yet all I see is, who's ready to make less money? Who's ready? I mean, it's like, you guys, what is wrong?
It's exhausting. And this is a huge opportunity. It's just a huge opportunity, like Kyle just said, to really get in there and give some valuable information to people. And everyone is just kind of missing the boat on it. So no, that is 100% correct.
And that's the thing. So we've got, again, 2 conferences. We've got the links in the comments where Kyle and Chauncey are both going to be headliners at. One is the Ultimate Realtor Playbook, and Chauncey is going to be at, just because this one is Women Who Win, and that's not going to be Kyle by default. Even though we might say Women Who Win with the guys that support them. I don't know. We'll figure it out if we'll put a bracketing on there. But the ultimate thing is that what I know about you, Chauncey, and you, Kyle, is you want everybody to win around you. And I think that's what's amazing. And your energy is infectious. And you're real, you're relatable. And that's what you want people around you, agents and affiliates and everybody else to understand as well, is that put yourself out there. So we've got a minute left, but Kyle and Chauncey, I want you to leave our audience with maybe a little parting word, whether it's a tip or a trick or something just encouraging. So Kyle, go ahead and go first because you're nodding. So that by default, you're number one, man.
My parting tip is this, guys, like our world sucks. And I don't say that to be negative. I say that to say, like everybody you rub shoulders with every day is going through something that they wish they weren't, that they could use an encouraging word for. And so just show up, realizing that there are people watching your content that are experiencing things in your life, in their life, that they're going to find relief from when they get to watch you. And when you do, it'll be way less about you. And so that's what I try to wake up and do every day.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it, man. All right, Chauncey, what about you, man?
Pretty simple. Don't let ego get in your way. Don't let ego get in the way of the message that you need to be sharing. I can't remember where I heard this from. Hell, it may have been Kyle years ago that said, you're only feeling self-conscious. You're only afraid to show up online. And you think people are going to have all of these negative thoughts about you. You're only doing that because you have this inflated ego about yourself that people even cared that much. And instead of caring that much about how you're going to show up and how people will perceive it, care more about the message that you need to get to the people that they urgently need to hear. And when you start making the content and your brand and your value about that, everything will change.
Preaching.
Gosh, don't you guys want to hear more? And in the links that are in the chat, you guys can hear more from Chauncey and Kyle. And I will tell you right now, one of my favorite graphic t-shirts to wear, which I did in pickleball just yesterday, was "I'm not for everyone." And that's a reminder to myself that I don't need to be for the masses. Occasionally, I'm not going to be for everyone. But I am happy we were able to give some comic relief, some tactical advantages to people on the show today and the replay. And ultimately, I hope you will join us on both events, November. God, I'm going to get so roasted for that one. September. It's still September, guys. September 25th, September 27th. And I just thank you both so much for taking your evening tonight to impart all of your wisdom on our viewers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
We'll see you again very soon.
Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Ashley just leaving us hanging.
And we're still live.
And we're still here. So